All right, Roger, what is going on here? This interview's over a year old. The Republicans are leaving. Why would they be handing this over to Mueller now? What's the end game here for Mueller?
Well, that's because Adam Schiff and the other Schiff heads on the committee have been jumping up and down, falsely claiming that I made assertions that were untrue. John, I have no fear whatsoever. In fact, this morning, my attorneys wrote to the House Intelligence Committee demanding that my entire testimony be made public. Let's let the American people see it, and they will see that I am the one who has told the truth. And it is Adam Schiff and the Democrats on the committee who have dissembled about what's in my testimony. To be very clear, what this tells me is obvious. They have no evidence of Russian collusion on my part. They have no evidence whatsoever of WikiLeaks collaboration. There is no proof or evidence that I received anything, including allegedly hacked or allegedly stolen emails from Julian Assange or WikiLeaks or Russian intelligence or Jerry Corsi or Bozo the Clown for that matter. It simply does not exist. So now what we've seen is an attempt by the Democrats to make this devolve into perjury traps, some kind of partisan hair splitting. The important thing to recognize is that for a charge of perjury, it has to be both material, it has to matter, it has to be about some significant matter, and there has to be intent. My testimony is entirely accurate. And I think the American people should be allowed to see it. Let us release it for everyone to see.
Roger, without violating any confidentiality covenants, can you tell us anything about the context of that testimony?
Only that it is entirely accurate and that everything I said before the committee was truthful. But the kind of partisan hair splitting we're talking about is I said in my testimony that I did not know the exact plans for the disclosure of the WikiLeaks material. I said to the committee, I identified my source, Randy Credico, who was a New York City progressive talk show host, the first person who told me about the significance and the October timing of the release of the WikiLeaks material. I had no advance notice of the source or the content, only that it would roil the race and it would come in October. Congressman Joaquin Castro says, aha, you see, Stone said he didn't know the exact timing. Exact, Congressman. October has 31 days. I said October. It was released in October. I never said I knew the exact date in October. It's a perfect example of the kind of hair splitting that the House Democrats are engaged in.
So, Roger, we've spoken many, many times on the show. I've lost count. And each time I ask you this question, I'm going to ask you again. Has Robert Mueller's office reached out to you? Have you sat down and spoken with them?
The answer on both questions is no. At this point, no attorney in their right mind would urge you to sit down either with the Senate Intelligence or the Senate Judiciary witch hunts or with Mr. Mueller because they have no evidence of wrongdoing regarding Russian collusion or WikiLeaks collaboration. So now we're about trying to construct some kind of perjury trap, the kind of thing that they ended up charging General Flynn with. I have no interest in participating in that kind of partisan exercise. I've been targeted for one reason and one reason only. I supported Donald Trump for president, and I helped in the defeat of their precious Hillary Clinton. This is a partisan motivated investigation. They have no interest, for example, in the partisan crimes of Uranium One, the fact that the Clintons took $145 million from the Russian energy company at the same time that they were approving the sale of 25% of America's enriched uranium, for example. No interest in that whatsoever. But we're very honed in on the question of whether Roger Stone said he was wearing a blue tie on Thursday and it was really a red tie.
Yeah, Roger, what do you make of what happened to General Flynn the other day? Many people are very surprised by the judge's reaction. This was back on Tuesday at his hearing, which was supposed to be a 15-minute sentencing hearing. Everybody thought he'd be sentenced, no jail time, maybe some probation. And man, things really went sideways for General Flynn. I'm one of the people who feels he was served very poorly by his attorneys, that these attorneys just sort of laid down and died on the job here. What do you've been in the political game a long time, Roger. You've seen these investigations, these prosecutions. What do you make of what happened to Flynn?
Well, the moral of this story, John, is don't hire Eric Holder's law firm to represent you because they sold General Flynn down the river.
Yeah.
I don't understand why General Flynn pled guilty to a crime that he clearly did not commit. The FBI's own report shows that he did not commit. And then the release of the 302s, the transcripts of his interview, which, by the way, were written a year after the actual interview, that's kind of interesting, show that he was entrapped. He was told, you don't need a lawyer for this. They tried to set this guy up. Why General Flynn would not say that to the judge, and why the judge is so clearly in the tank for the government, by the way, are both mysteries to me.
You know, my takeaway was the judge was a bit upset with Mueller's office, and he gave General Flynn 5 outs to say exactly what you said, maybe even fire his lawyers on the spot and say, look, I was set up, Your Honor. I'm throwing myself on the mercy of the court. But the judge was so frustrated when 3, 4, 5 times General Flynn said, nope, I lied. The FBI did everything right. Everything Mueller's office did was in line with proper protocol. It seemed to me like the judge finally got frustrated and said, okay, then, you're admitting to some pretty bad crimes. Last 30 seconds to you, Roger.
Seems to me like something else is being held over General Flynn's head, perhaps the potential prosecution of his son. He looked very uncomfortable to me. He looked to me like a man who was now not telling the truth.
Yeah.
He was very clearly set up.
I used the same word on Twitter. I said it looked to me like General Flynn was under duress. Roger Stone, Roger, always great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much, John.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more breaking news coverage, exclusive interviews, and great videos, click over here to our YouTube channel and subscribe. And don't forget to download the free Newsmax TV app. Newsmax TV, it's real news for real people.